Hey everybody, so we're going to do a little Bible study on the Proverbs. So let's start with chapter 1. So I'm just going to highlight a couple things here. So in Proverbs chapter 1, a wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels. Now let's just break that one little part down. So if you are seeking knowledge and you are a wise person, you're going to want to listen, to hear, and you want to keep increasing your learning to grow as a person, and you want to grow in your understanding, and you want to be surrounding yourself with people that are giving you wise counsel or wise advice, good suggestions. Okay, we're going to drop down here to the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. So let's break that down. So if you are seeking knowledge and wisdom and understanding, and you have a great fear that you don't want to disappoint the Lord, that's a good thing, because you're understanding that the Lord is powerful and he can make the decision about whether you're going to heaven or hell. So the fear of the Lord is healthy. And it's the beginning of you going, hey, I want what's good, what you deem is good for me. And I want to be schooled in what that knowledge is, because I want to be in alignment with God of Israel. I want to be in alignment with what Jesus said. But fools despise wisdom and instruction. So if somebody is being rebellious and they don't care about being corrected, they don't want to be corrected, they don't want to change, they don't want instruction, they don't want to learn, they don't want to grow, those are signs of stay away from that kind of person. They're not going to, you're not going to be able to build with that person. Okay, so let's go down further. My son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not. Meaning, don't go along with people that are trying to get you to join in their sin, because people that are smoking and drinking and partying and, having multiple sex partners and, wanting to just have this big party scene, they're totally in sin. And if they're trying to get you to join them, you're going to fall into the pit with them. So you don't want that. Okay. Here we go. For their feet run to evil and make haste to shed blood. So people that are in sin, they're heading for death, whether or not they're conscious of it or not. They're in a hurry to continue in their desires, and their desires are gonna, lead their feet into the pit, and that's not the way that God wants us to go. Okay, so let's go over to where is it? Down here, next paragraph. Okay, here we go. 29. For they that hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord, they would none of my counsel. They despised all my reproof. So people that do not want to learn, these fools that are listed over here, okay, in the other paragraph, they hated knowledge. They don't like correction. They're not in alignment with who God is. They're not fearing who the Lord is. And because of that, they don't want to take what we say. They don't want to listen to our words. They don't want to take our counsel. They don't want to take our suggestions. They're despising the fact that I'm trying to correct them and help them. Okay. So those are the kind of people that want to stay in their sin. Okay. Therefore shall they eat of the fruit of their own way and be filled with their own devices. Meaning they're filled with their own desires. They're living in the flesh, and they're not living from the Spirit. So you want to avoid these people. Okay, so let's go down to Proverbs 2, okay, chapter 2. My son, if thou wilt receive my words and hide my commandments with thee, so that thou incline thy ear unto wisdom and apply thine heart to understanding. So again, in the first proverb, it's saying about understanding and wisdom, and then it's repeating that same theory in the second proverb. Receiving the words, hiding the commandments, so that's the 10 commandments. Listen to my ear, to get your own wisdom and apply your heart to understanding this wisdom. So the instructions of the Lord's commandments. Let's jump down. Then shall thou understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. So again, that repeat of over here, this person over here doesn't fear the Lord, but he's saying fear the Lord and find the knowledge of God, what God wants for you to understand. For the Lord gives wisdom, out of his mouth comes knowledge and understanding. So again, repeating that thing that the Lord has the wisdom and the knowledge and the understanding for us. And we need to tap into the Lord's receiving what the Lord's giving to us. Okay. He lays up sound wisdom for the righteous. He's a buckler to them that walk uprightly. So the Lord's going to give wisdom to people that are righteous. And you're going to see that in the way that they walk and the way that they live their life. He keeps the person that keeps the paths of judgment and preserves the way of the saints. Meaning Jesus. Jesus is keeping the paths of judgment and preserves the way of his saints. So we are called to be his saints. We're called to follow in his steps and the paths of following the commandments, understanding with our hearts and our ears, and walking by faith to understand the wisdom and the understanding and the knowledge and have the knowledge of God and fearing the Lord and receiving the wisdom of the Lord coming through knowledge and wisdom, so that we get the sound wisdom that we can display in our righteousness and walk uprightly and preserving the way of the saints. So we're gonna look differently than the people that are not following that path. Okay. Proverbs verse 9, then shall thou understand righteousness and judgment and equity, yea, every good path. So people that are following God's commandments, people that are learning in wisdom and understanding, they're going to continue to walk in the ways of the Lord. And when wisdom enters into thine heart and knowledge is pleasant unto thy soul, discretion shall preserve thee, understanding shall keep thee. So we're going to learn discernment and discretion when we're following God's commandments. And the Lord's going to keep us in that. And he's warning us, those who leave the paths of uprightness to walk in the ways of darkness, those who rejoice to do evil and delight in the forwardness of the wicked, those ways are crooked and they're forward in their paths. So we don't want to follow the crooked and wicked ways. Okay. And let's jump down. Thou may walk in the way of good men and keep the paths of the righteous. For the upright shall dwell in the land, and the perfect shall remain in it. Meaning, if we want to get to our promised land, that means that we need to dwell and walk in the commandments of what God set out for us. And that's where we're going to stand and receive the blessings of God. And we're doing that through being good, by keeping the paths of the righteous, by doing what God's asking us to do. We keep looking to Jesus and his example of how he lived, and that we're going to have, we're going to striving for perfection. Okay. But the wicked are going to be cut off from the earth, and their transgressors shall be rooted out of it. All right, let's jump to the third proverb. Okay. My son, forget not my laws, but let thine heart keep my commandments. Again, that reiteration of the laws and the commandments that we need to follow them. For length of days and long life and peace shall they be added to thee. Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them upon thy neck and write them upon the table of thine heart. Again, the heart and the neck, restrain yourself so that you are following the commandments. So thou shalt find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and man. Trust in the Lord. This is a famous phrase. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not on thine own understanding. In all thy ways, not in some of the ways, in all thy ways acknowledge him, meaning acknowledge Jesus, acknowledge God, and he shall direct thy path. Jesus is our manly God-man example, and God deemed follow these commandments. Be not wise in thine own eyes, fear the Lord. Again, that same fear the Lord is like the fourth time we're being reminded of that. And depart from evil. So repenting from evil. honor the Lord with thy substance and with the first fruits of thine increase. So whatever labor we're doing, giving a portion of our earnings and putting it aside for the Lord and what he wants us to do with that, for attending the feasts, honoring the Sabbath, etc. Okay. My son, despise not the chastening of the Lord, meaning the correction that God's giving us. Neither be weary of his correction. Okay. For whom the Lord loves, he corrects, even as a father the son in whom he delights. Happy is the man. Hang on.